Our thoughts and feelings are our own and are not representative of Electronic Arts as a whole or anyone else.
Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show. All right, man. Welcome back, everybody. This is feels good to be back in here, man. I guess this is our first show post Anime Austin, and so we actually have a special guest here in the studio with us. Before I turn the mic over to him, I'm just gonna say we have now launched our YouTube channel. Well, I guess we've always had a YouTube channel.
We've launched putting video on YouTube.
We actually have video on our YouTube channel because what we were doing, we're posting audio recaps of all the podcasts to the YouTube channel. We now have video content. We launched that video content with our visit to Anime Austin 2017. It was their second event, or the second annual event. Great stuff. Got a lot of great interviews. We talked to a lot of great people. We're actually going to kind of recap some of that in a bit and go through it. But before we get into that, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce this guest, man. This guy and I work together. We are otaku brothers together. Mm-hmm. He's an independent game developer as well. Just multi-talented guy. And want to thank you for joining us. Before we turn it over, just give this shout out to Mr. Xane Lopez. What's up, bro?
Not too much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, no, thank you for coming in. Also, Reed and I were wanting to thank you. Thank you for being the third man that day. Because we thought we had it under control with a two-man crew, and we did not. You saved our ass at the convention more than once. There was one time where I was so tired I forgot what our next interview was, and you told us. Reed and I were talking about it. I said, you remember when Zay said, hey, where are we supposed to go? And Zay went, oh, your next interview is with so-and-so. Remember we were going to watch their panel? And he said, yes, I do remember that. And I said, yeah, Zane's now a Team Lift member. It's just done. When we go to a convention, Zane is now on Team Lift. He goes with us.
Got that con team status.
Yo, bro, you have to, man. We could not have done that without you. We learned quickly. It takes more than two men to do this. We were all tired after three guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, man, we're going to actually do a quick recap. I want to bring you on because what we've been doing is Team Lift has always talked about anime. But then we kind of start slacking on it because Brandon does not watch any anime.
Nope.
And has no idea how to be in the conversation on anime.
Nope.
And so Brandon and I have been like, we should bring another person in on the show that's big on it with us. And then at least we have a back and forth. Otherwise, it'd just be me talking for an hour. Not going to be
Nobody
good.
wants that.
Nobody wants that. I don't want that. Okay. So what we're going to do is I wanted to go ahead and talk to you. Was that your first time going to Anime Austin?
That was my first convention, but yeah, first time Anime Austin. I do expect to go next year too. It was a lot of fun. I think that they said that next year is the last year in their contract at this location, so hopefully they get a bigger one. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be going again.
Wait, next year's the last year, or this year was their last year?
Next year should be the last year because I think they said that they have a 3-year contract there, and if they pick a new location, I'm just hoping it's big. Like Renaissance Austin Hotel would be huge, and it would be awesome to have more floor space and more room for people, and maybe less of the gym locker room smell, but I doubt it because it's a convention.
Man, okay. I wasn't even going to talk about that,
Man,
but then it is out.
So this is just Anime Austin. I like to go to QuakeCon whenever I can. They literally have to have signs outside the BYO, inside the BYO, in the hotel in general. Please shower every day that you're going to be at the con. Like, there's a fucking rule set that says, please shower every day.
And when we talk to
It should
BYO,
be
that's to
fucking
bring your
just-
own computer room.
Yeah, that's like 2,500 people all sitting in a room together using PCs.
And they're all throwing off heat.
All of them.
And you cannot be funky in there.
They like to, at least at the previous hotel, I don't know. I haven't been to the Gaylord since 2004, which is where it's going to be this year. But at the hotel that they had downtown, the Anatole, they kept it at like 65, 63 in the BYO the whole time. Just because, You got 2,500 systems that are all putting off thousands of BTUs of heat a piece. So you got to have some way to counteract that. But yeah, fucking shower every day when you're at any convention. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Anime Austin or QuakeCon or DreamHack or RTX. Fucking take a shower, you stinky bitches.
Please.
Yeah, it was there was a okay, I would tell you this story. Reed's gonna kill me. But Reed remember he was dressed as a battle medic, from like Battlefield 4. He had his vest on and his hat, and he was all in his medic costume, and he kept going, man, I think this vest stinks. I think it's this vest. Oh my God, it smells terrible. And I was like, Reed, I don't think it's the vest. I can't smell it. You don't smell that? I smell something, but I don't think it's your vest. So he was so self-conscious about it. He goes, takes the vest off, gets out of the outfit, gets in regular clothes. And I just kind of stay there in the vendor room waiting for him with the camera and equipment. He comes back and he goes, I realized when I came back in here, it was not the vest. Somebody stinks. And I said, it's not somebody. It's somebody's. There's a lot of young prepubescent energy and sweat in this building, and it was throwing off some foot. It was some foot smell going on in there. It was still. Here's my thing I liked about it. As big as it was that place felt bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, it looked tiny from outside, but whenever you got in there was so much room. The only places I didn't like to be were the hallways, because they were like 9 feet wide, and people, especially on Friday night and then Saturday, it was pretty packed. During the like prime time hours.
Oh yeah, no man, it was super packed. Definitely, I got to give a shout out to Melissa Henderson and Mark Del Bosque. They are the executive producers of Anime Austin. They also do Louisiana. I think they do Omnicon too.
Yeah, they do Omnicon.
Another one of their productions. And so it was really neat to kind of be able to go to this event and kind of hang out and see everything. And then you went Friday night. I didn't. We learned something very important. We need to go all 3 nights.
Oh, yeah. No, if I don't know. I think you would have still gotten the interview with Thomas Mckee, but I did hit him up on Friday night in between some of his panels, and he was super stoked and eager to get on y'all's show. And whenever we waved him down on Saturday, he's like, "Oh, y'all the podcast guys," and he was like trying to chase us down for the interview all weekend. Didn't get him to Sunday.
Man, we had it was really weird. We got there, and you had talked to people Friday night, kind of created some buzz. We get there Saturday. Reed got there early and was shooting like B-roll footage in the parking lot and all that morning. I didn't get there till about 10:30, almost 10:30. When I get there Saturday morning, the place is already a madhouse. I'm not even parked in the parking lot. I'm parked down the street a ways, across the street from the place. So I park. And I come into the building, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I see a lot of great cosplay going on. And I saw, the cars were out, all the waifu cars, or what I called them, the cars with the anime art. And I was like, man, this is really a great vibe. And then when I get in there, I'm just like, whoa. I was not prepared for how big the event really was. Like, I was stunned because it was at the Holiday Inn Midtown, which is not quite downtown Austin. It's seriously the middle smack dab of Austin, right off the 35, a little past the 183. It was a much bigger floor plan. They had a lot more talent there. And by Saturday night, everybody knew who Team Lift was, which was kind of weird. We had that weird, do you remember that weird experience where we left for lunch and we got fangirled?
That was an experience.
That was okay. I don't even know how to describe this. Brandon, we found the first Team Lift member who's a bigger super fan than Joe Nathan, and she fangirled hard over. I was like, she has to be. At one point, I was like, Ashton Kutcher's going to jump out and say, "I got you, bitch," because I really thought we were getting punked, and she was really just hyped about anime, and she wanted to talk to us about it. Super cool, super cool. But just the fact that she was like, "Oh my God, you do the Team Lift podcast," and I was just like, "Who?
What? Who are you?
Who
What?
are you? And how do you know us?
I mean, that's fine. That's great. What?
It was really a weird experience because I've never thought that would happen. You know, I never thought there would be a person who would come in and say that to us. Just be like, knew the podcast, knew what we were about, was geeked that we were covering the convention, was geeked that we were doing anime coverage. Like, ignored people at the restaurant we ate at to come to our table to ask all of us what our favorite animes were. It was a really weird experience.
I feel bad that I don't remember what her favorite one was.
I do not either. I do not.
mean, realistically, it's okay because, like, your con brain gets fucking fried when you go to conventions.
Yeah.
Brain was fried.
You have so
Yeah.
many fucking, like, generally any human being can only catalog about 140 to 144 people and keep all that shit straight. When you're dealing with thousands and thousands of people, they just kind of blend together into one person.
Bro, we did our own panel at one point in the hallway where people were asking us questions about how did we start the podcast? How did we start making content? And I was like, we're not here for a panel. We're here to talk to other people. Is that the one from QuakeCon, the sign?
This is from 2016. Mm-hmm. This is a huge... You see how big that statue is?
That is a 6 foot tall sign.
So at the bottom of it, it literally says, clean bodies PvP better. So,
That's
yeah.
not untrue.
That I'm not
Get
going to say.
distracted by that tank stank.
And this one's another one that's from older. This one's older. This one's probably from like 2013 or 2010 because that's a really old logo.
Yeah.
But literally on the right-hand side, it says, yes, bathing, deodorant, fun. On the other side is like, no. And it just tells you all the things that you can't bring in.
Yeah, funk is one of them. And
Yeah.
I loved the whole of it, but funk was on display. I'm just going to be real. It was funky, but it was still... I think what they did that I like about this one more than anything was that they gave us access. They brought Team Lift in. We were, well, let's say it like this. Reed and I were on press passes. Somebody sitting on the sofa was a full VIP pass.
Girl.
So he was doing all VIP stuff, which we did not know we could have went to those VIP events. Some were like, you can go to the VIP events as press and get video footage. Others were like, you can't go in here.
Yeah, it probably just depends who the doorman was.
It really did. And like, it seemed like if they were some 13 or 14-year-old volunteer kid, they were guarding the door with their life. And I was like, I'm with the press. We're shooting video. That's all we're doing.
I should have been there. Probably could have got y'all in with me.
Yeah, probably. Man, no, there were some points where we broke apart at, it's a con and we all wanted to go do different things. But man, it just got weird with door people a couple of times. Except one time where they let us into where they were going to do the top 5 idol singing competition.
The capsule courtroom.
Yeah, so they let us in there and we were it. It was Reed and I, and they threw everybody out and we shot we shot some B-roll footage. In fact, the Facebook live stream that I did, that's on my personal page and that we put on our YouTube page, that was shot in that room. The Mark Del Bosque interview from that room, he came in to meet with us and we got him to come in and do his interview and kind of talk to him about what they're trying to do and how big they're growing. I can honestly tell you, I want to go back next year. I've decided I want this to be a thing we are going to grow with them. I want to do this with them. And especially since they're only 1 year older than the podcast, it's a great way for us to celebrate.
Yeah.
We had our 1 year anniversary, and a week later, we went to that. So I'm just thinking that may be our new celebration.
Yeah.
We celebrate. I may want to do, how would you feel about if we did a Team Lift live podcast from there next year?
That's fine.
But we'd have to make it probably a 21 and up room because I know how we talk. I don't know if I want a lot of 11-year-olds in the room when we're dropping F-bombs like crazy.
Just do an 18 and up. That would be fine.
Nah,
We can do
that's what
18.
they do. They have 18 and up panels and then all admission panels. And VIP panels, of course.
Yeah, we would have to be we're going to be an 18 and up room.
You can go super hardcore and be VIP 18 and up.
Oh, dog, yeah, that'd be
Be like 3 people in the room.
Seriously, it would have been 3 people.
It'd just be us.
It's all us. It's just us doing the show like we normally do. And they'd be like, how do we get in the room? The door guy has to think you're cool and bathe. See, not be funky. Get in the room.
Name of the panel is just No Funk Jam.
That's
like
it,
that.
dog. That may be, I swear to God, I will sign us up for a panel. Y'all quit playing. I really had a fun time, man, but there were so many highlights of people that were there. They really worked to bring in some big names. Probably one of the biggest names, I'm going to have to say as a voice actor, was Robbie Damon.
Yes, Robbie has voiced so many characters in games that I love, and he's also voiced so many dubs that were actually not terrible.
Yeah.
One of the biggest names people might recognize him for is Prompto in Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
Hyperactive little blonde kid. Like that's Robbie right there.
He was Dr. Kurahashi in Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. I think he did Final Fantasy, what was that one? Type 0?
Yeah, he said that he did. That was like his first video game project too, or something like that, or one of his first. That was really cool to learn.
Yeah,
One of the most recent games that he did is a remake of the second Fire Emblem game. It came out. It's called Fire Emblem Shadows of Valencia, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he voiced one of the like supporting main characters, and they have a bunch of funny little like quips here and there between him, the main character, and one of the other best friends. So it's really cool to see his flexibility. Like he did some voices at his panel too, like not like, you know, like people didn't ask him, but he just did them as responses and whatnot, and he's a pretty cool guy. I would definitely like to talk with him again.
Yeah, he was really cool. Man, I can go through some of the games. I'm just going to throw out. Here's the thing. This guy's a freaking who's who of games. He did Mass Effect Andromeda. A lot of people didn't know he did that. He was uncredited in it, too, is what I found out. He did additional voices in the game. He did Nier, is it Automata?
Automata, yeah.
Yeah, then he did the Sword Art Online movie. He did Tales of Zestiria X, the anime.
About that one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Akiba's Beat.
Oh, yeah.
He does that. Yeah. Then, I did not know this, and it's on Netflix. The Cyborg 09, Call of Justice 2 and 3, the series that's on Netflix right now. Mm-hmm. He did those. He was in that whole series, man. He played Jet Link on it, and I was just like, bro, I mean, when he started going through his list, I was like, get out of here. And then, here's where I never knew I could catch feelings for a man. When I found out he played Goro Akechi in Persona 5, I was done. When he was like Goro Akechi, and I was like, bro, I just killed you a month ago, and you're amazing. So I hated you, and now I love you all again. He's also on the 7 Deadly Sins, English, the one that's also on Netflix. Man, this guy was all over, man, and it was just like, I just kept talking to him. He was in the Friday the 13th game. Everything I was freaking playing.
Who was he in the Friday the 13th game?
Here, I'll tell you.
Because I've been watching a shitload of that on Twitch, by the way.
He is Adam Palomino and Kenny Rydell.
Okay, so two of the counselors.
Yeah, he plays those. He does both voices. And it blew me away that I was like, wait, you're 2 characters? Yeah. I was like, God dang, are you the hardest working man in voice acting right there? Like, it's all he does is video games. He had a lot of stuff on Nickelodeon. He's done some cartoons and stuff and some Cartoon Network. He's a really busy guy. I think
did he mention anything about being a part of the strike?
Oh, gosh.
I think he's part of the union, so it's like mandatory.
Yeah, there was some stuff we got into about that. We actually...
Because those motherfuckers need to be paid more.
They do a
shitload of work, and they do not get any type of royalties at all.
Nope. And especially bad. Well, I think it's because of video games, but yeah, they don't get any royalties off of game sales. Once their voices are recorded, they're pretty much paid for as far as the game companies are concerned. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that they should get some form of royalty for that.
Because, I mean, like, if you go and look at, like, say, Fallout 4, where they decided to fully voice the 2 main protagonists, the male and the female, they recorded 140,000 lines over 3 years for that game, and they're not getting any royalties for that. They work 3 years fucking solid doing things, sending them back, getting them redoing them like over and over and over again. This is fucking a massive amount of work, and to not get paid royalties is just fucking horseshit.
Well, let's get into that, because that was something that Robbie talked about on his panel. And also another one of the voice actors we talked about, Thomas Mckee, independent voice actor, which was a really fascinating video. He's going to be on our YouTube channel. I think we launched his video today. If you get a chance, you want to watch that one.
Yep.
Because we talk about the strike. And one of the things that stood out to me was that if you are a voice actor in a video game and they put you in a mocap suit to do any stunt work, do you know there are no stunt coordinators on the set when you're doing this shit?
Yeah,
What?
it's not required.
There's not required to have a stunt coordinator on the set. And if you get hurt, that's on you, because there's no stunt coordinator there. You got to figure out how to do that fall. Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you another horror story. Now, this is one of my most memorable horror stories from the voice acting game. He talked to us about this one was, let's say you do a game. Brandon, I hire you to be in my game. You're going to be the voice actor for my main character in my game, right? So let's say that game becomes a AAA title and it sells millions upon millions of copy, okay?
Yeah.
Then I send you a script because we liked how well you worked on it. I send you a script and say, hey, this next project we're working on, Codename X, we want you to read for it. And just tell us, let's see what you sound like. And here's what we need. This is kind of what the character's like. Give us what you got. And we love it, right? You nail it. We give you the job, okay? You come in, you're getting ready day one to start recording your lines, and we're paying you just the minimum, $900 a week.
Something like that.
$900 a week. That's all we're going to pay you to do all this voice work, okay? And you find out it is the sequel to the biggest fucking game of all time that I just released. You actually read for the part of the character in the game you just voiced.
Yeah.
We just didn't tell you you were doing the sequel. So you can't even negotiate for a higher rate, which we know people like video game players are real big about having the voice actor continue over. You can't give me voice actor A in game one and then bring in voice actor B for part two, because I'm going to be pissed. That's how video game players are.
Yeah.
And so they know
secrecy-
this.
The secrecy is the problem. Like, I understand that you're working on a multi-billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar title or whatever, and you think that it's going to sell XYZ amount of copies, and you want to keep that IP safe, but there's no reason to keep that IP safe from the people you're trying to bring in to work on the fucking project.
Yeah. I mean, there should be some transparency. So, like, we found out code names for Final Fantasy games. Just at this conference, we did not know that the games had names, like code names. So I think 15 was
15's black.
black. And
They're all color coded.
yeah, every game has a color code. So Final Fantasy 15 was black. You don't know which version. You don't know what the name is. You just know I'm reading for Final Fantasy Black.
There was that was another thing too. Like, as I followed a lot of the stuff on the voice actors for Fallout 4 before it came out, just because I don't know, I was obsessed with the goddamn game before it came out. And they actually didn't even know that they were reading for Fallout or for a Fallout game. I don't even think they knew that they were reading for a Bethesda game. They were hired on based on their voice work without ever even knowing what title they were working on. And the people who were hiring them in knew what the title was and couldn't tell them. And then they would like have them like the male Fallout 4 actor, I can't remember his fucking name, saved my life, but he didn't know, he'd never played any of the previous Fallout games, so like even when he read the like titular line of like war never changes, he didn't know what the fuck game he was working on, because that should have been the biggest clue as to what the title is. And so it's horseshit. Like I don't fucking understand.
All three of us work in the video game industry. All three of us are very intimate with NDAs.
Yeah,
like we know what would happen if we divulged a game.
Yeah.
Our great-grandchildren would be paying for that lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
So we already know what we're getting into. I've read an NDA. They're not cute.
No.
They're not worth the hassle that you're going to go through.
Half a dozen of them at least.
Oh, God, yeah. No, deep on NDAs.
Yeah.
So when you start reading them, you start going, they could ruin you. So it seems to me, if a voice actor is being brought in, why not tell them, you're going to have to sign this NDA, and we'll still let you read for the part. And then they're sworn to that secrecy. And then you know who you brought in.
I mean, that's the other thing too, is like if you're brought in for a video game and you do the first one, and then they decide they're going to make a sequel to that game because it was successful enough, you as a voice actor can get locked out of doing that second game. It's happened.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of times. I think Devil May Cry is one of the worst ones. Like, there's 3 different voice actors who have voiced the same character in that series, the main character, just from different versions of it. Like 2 and 3 and 4, I think, have all different voice actors. I might be completely wrong. I'm talking out of my ass, but that should be something that's like, you sign the contract with that original voice actor for that character, and you don't want to bring them back in it, and you're going to bring them back in the next game, you better fucking just hire that same person. Like, that should be in the contract that you're signing for that first game.
You can't make a fucking Marvel movie without signing up for multi-film deals.
Right.
You couldn't be on Netflix Daredevil series. You remember, what's his name? Charlie
Cox?
Yeah. He told everybody, I had to sign a contract that said not only would I do the series, but I'd be available for film.
Yeah.
If they wanted to bring me over into the cinematic universe. It's in my contract. I can't fight that. They signed me up for a multi-series, multi-film deal on day one. Why do we not do this for video game actors when we're generating box office money on AAA titles?
The other thing too, and like I don't really agree with this. I understand where it's coming from. John St. John is the guy who's done the voice of Duke Nukem. That's his bag. Like, he's been Duke Nukem since like 1993.
Right.
But he's talked about the encroachment of people from Hollywood, like actual Hollywood actors, getting voice acting jobs in video games over veteran voice actors for video games who have been working in that medium for years. Whereas they could like very easily come in and get a part. Like in Bethesda games, there's always at least 2 or 3 voice actors. Like even in fucking Rage, they got John Goodman to come in and play a character.
Well, one of my favorite games EA did, and their voice acting, it was the one time I was glad that they went outside of the industry for voice actors, because we brought in Jack Black to play the title character.
Yeah.
Lemmy was the bass god.
Yeah.
Ozzy was a dealer, in the game, which was so appropriate. It was just fucking heavy metal legends all throughout the game. Lita Ford, Ozzy Osbourne, Lemmy Clemenster. It was great voice casting for that game.
That's why I said like I don't necessarily agree with it, but what his point was is that like we have all of these people who are voice actors who do nothing but this job, and Hollywood voice actors are able to come in and just steal those parts from people who like that is their bread and butter. Whereas like for a Hollywood voice actor, if you got Sam Jackson to come in and do a voice in your fucking video game, that's like an extra $100,000 for him, and that's it. Like he's already a huge, like he doesn't fucking need that job.
Oh yeah.
In order to bolster his, or in order to pay his in order to pay his rent, he doesn't need that fucking job.
Oh yeah. And I do believe, wouldn't he voiced Afro Samurai the game?
Yeah.
He was in the game. He did the voice acting for it. He did the series too, so he was also in the game. In fact, I think that was one of the ones where I remember they pulled everybody from the series to the game.
Speaking of Bethesda games, fucking Meryl Streep is in the original Dishonored. Why is Meryl Streep in a fucking video game? He doesn't need to be in a fucking video game. They could have literally used anybody they wanted to. And it seems to be a thing that it's just Bethesda that's doing it a lot, is bringing in big name actors to replace people to like play a character that's a bit part. I don't know why.
They probably pay them a lot more than the voice acting rates just to get them on in the first place.
Yeah.
You know how many voice actors you could get for what you pay Meryl Streep?
That whole video game, Dishonored, has probably one of the largest cast of Hollywood people in it.
It's a good game, but yeah, it definitely does a disservice to the voice actors who rely on these sorts of roles.
Oh no, I'm telling you right now. We talked to him. Eric Cherry was another voice actor who was there, and Eric's done a lot of work for Crunchyroll and Funimation. He's done a lot of dub anime in the U.S. He's going to be on the show.
Ooh.
So we're working to get him on here. And that was one of the things that we talked to him about. And it's just like how hard it is to get into this industry.
Okay, huge correction. It wasn't Meryl Streep. It's Susan Sarandon. That's who I was thinking of. So this game has Susan Sarandon, Lena Headey, Carrie Fisher, John Slattery, Brad Dourif, Michael Madsen, Chloe Grace Moretz, and then it finally like turns into like actual voice actors for video games like April Stewart and Billy Lush and Derek Phillips, etc. But like that's the cast of a AAA game that could be in a fucking movie.
They could have made a movie about the game and used the same people.
And used the same actors, yeah. And what's really funny is like Chloe Grace Moretz, because she quit acting, she's not in the sequel. The character that she's playing in this game is the princess, that the little girl that you save in the first one. Mm-hmm. She grows up and she's one of the 2 playable characters in the second game, but she's voiced by a completely different person.
I get that might be a little. I mean, of course, it's weird. Quits acting and doesn't get the role again. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. They could have approached her and she could have denied it, but
yeah,
that's weird. Whenever somebody voices a kid, it's usually not hard for them to age up the voice a little bit.
Well, I mean, she was like 17 and she was voicing a 12-year-old, and now she's probably in her mid-20s or something like that now. Because that was 2013 and this is 2017.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been that much of a stretch to have her come back, but I don't know, it's just, that's the thing is like, there's no protection for a voice actor to actually be contracted at the beginning to be in multiple sequels to a video game franchise. There's no protection against somebody far larger than you coming in to take that role.
No, that's true.
That's probably free advertising right there too.
There's no royalty system set up so that they actually are able to get paid, after the video game is released. Like, they're basically just fucked. You come in, you do the work, and then you drop it on the table and you leave, and that's it.
What was the hashtag? All work matters, or all? They have a hashtag for the strike, and I probably could reach out to Tom Mckee and find it out. But it definitely, talking to the voice actors, I learned more about the strike. Like, I wasn't even aware of it, and we kind of talked about the thing, where when I tried out for that TV show with VH1 and they flew me out to LA, and I was just talking to them about how it was so different because it was going to be a reality show. I wasn't doing voice acting. How much they were going to pay me was SAG minimum. And I think back then, SAG minimum was $2,500 a week, which was going to change my life. But that contract basically made me a slave. I mean, I was stuck. Your anniversary doesn't matter. Your kid's birthday doesn't matter. If we tell you you have to be here, you have a 48-hour notice to get there.
Yeah, and the hashtag is performance matters.
Performance matters. Perfect. Thank you so much, man. That was, it was really interesting. In fact, when it came to vocal talent that was there, we had Eric Cherry, who was on Assassination Classroom. I think he played Takuya on there. He did Max Allures on Fairy Tale. He was on Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple. These were some who's, man. They really... that's one thing I'm going to say about Tetra Entertainment, or Tetra Events, which is the group that put the show on. They did not bring in a bunch of unknowns. They were bringing in some heavy hitters.
No, they brought in not even just anime, but like Ichigo Kitty is a huge deal with the cosplay world.
Yes.
Her YouTube's incredibly popular, and she does some fantastic work. They also had I forget her name, but they had a cosplay lady who was actually on Cosplay Melee, which is that her name?
It was either her. I want to say it was Envil was the one, the blonde-haired lady.
She had her own panel even, I believe.
Yep.
They had another, I don't believe this lady had a panel, but there was a woman from San Antonio who's a big cosplayer, and I actually sent you a picture of her booth in the marketplace room of all of her little pinups that she does of all these different anime characters, and I believe your response was just "Dear God."
Yeah, man. They had
big names there, and for a 2-year-old con, that was really impressive. They may have pulled some strings since they're also OmniCon and what is it? What's the Louisiana one?
Louisiana May.
Okay, yeah. So they have their feet in the water for sure, but they for their 2-year-old con that they're doing, they definitely pulled out all the stops. They had some big people there. It was really cool to meet most of them, actually.
The one I didn't get to meet was Leon Chiro, the international cosplay guy. Mm-hmm. He basically is the official cosplayer for Ubisoft for their Assassin's Creed brand, which was shocking. I didn't know that you could be an official cosplayer for a video game company.
He does some legit stuff.
If you go back and look at Bioshock Infinite, the character in the game, so they released like their original teaser of Bioshock Infinite a long time ago, mm-hmm. and which included the girl who's like the girl that follows you around through the whole game. A Russian cosplayer cosplayed her, and they liked her so much that they hired her, flew her out to the United States, used her for mocap, and they also did digital renderings of her face, mm-hmm. and she is literally the face of the girl that's in the game now.
Wow.
So Elizabeth is real.
Elizabeth is a real person.
I'm taking a trip to Russia.
Yeah, things just got different right here, man. I'll tell you another name that shocked me, Bryson Bogus.
Oh, yes.
This one, now, Brendan, you'll hear that name and that means nothing to you. Anybody that's ever watched probably one of the biggest animes in the last 3 years, we could say, like, it ranks up there in popularity, is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Mm-hmm. Very popular anime when it came out, caught on real quick, generated a lot of buzz, and the guy, Bryson Bogus, does the voice of Belle in the dub, and it was like, oh crap. When I first saw him, I was like, why does his name sound familiar? Never even hit me until all of a sudden I was kind of going to talk to him. I was going to try to set up the interview, and I backed out. I don't know why I backed out, because I talked to everybody else, but his schedule and ours couldn't line up or something. He was doing a lot of panels. But when I realized who he was, I was done. I was totally done for once I realized who he was. And he was there. Man, they really brought out a lot of Jessie Pradmore. Mm-hmm. She was there. So when they were doing the cosplayers, they really brought it as far as like voice actors and cosplayers. They brought some big names. From the world of comic books, I was really shocked. I had my first kind of fanboy moment. Thomas Tenney.
Yeah, he had a fantastic panel. I'm sad that the attendance wasn't super high for the panel, but it was inspirational as hell.
Man, bro, you felt like you could conquer the world after you talked to this man. Yeah. And we've been blessed enough that not only did we do his panel there, we interviewed him for the YouTube channel, and it's up now. In case you guys want to watch that, you can go to our YouTube channel, Team Lift podcast on YouTube, and you can watch that video with him, and it was a really great video. But then after that, we had him on the show. He came here. Last week's podcast was the Thomas Tenney interview, and we had Marie and oh my gosh, I can't think of her name, the other model that was with him, his other model. They all three were on the show. Love that whole team, and we talked about Fight Girl Fight and what they're trying to do with that. But he geeked me out, man. You know, I'm a huge Robotech fan. It's one of my... Robotech the Macross Saga is my favorite anime of all time. And then for you to bring in a guy who brought in the original covers that haven't been seen in years.
Mm-hmm. Those were awesome. And they were so well preserved. They're like, what? He said like 2 or 3 decades... 3 decades at least old. Like,
yeah, like
oh
he's like,
God.
yeah, these hadn't been seen in years. Yeah. And they just looked amazing. And they were still the black and white giant poster board of the covers.
Inked but not colored, I believe.
Yeah.
Did Reed get pictures of those?
I did.
You did?
I took pictures of them, man. Like, I still have them on my phone. I'll send them to you. I geeked hard over those.
That was so cool. Like,
it was one of those things
nothing like that's ever happened, and I don't think we'll ever experience something quite like that again.
I doubt it.
Just like lost treasure. I felt like Indiana Jones for a second. Just
yeah, I know, and that's what killed me, was that not more people didn't go to see this. Like, I think when they started talking about the names, they were talking about, well, this guy drew He worked for all three big comic books. So he worked for DC, he worked for Marvel, he worked for Image. He did the Chapel miniseries at Image. He did Force Works for Marvel. He did DC Showcase and Legion for DC. Thomas Tenney has put in work.
And he's still putting in work.
Yeah. And then he did the AC/DC comics. He drew Robotech, the Next Generation comic book. He did Dana's story. This guy really had put in work. And here he is still in the game doing it big. And it was like probably, for me, it was so cool to meet somebody that you've grown up and you've admired. And then for him to call you a friend and to be like a laid back guy, probably ranks up there in top moments of my life in this industry. That was just really cool for me.
I can tell you for sure that I am a fan. I'm not like big on comics, but after hearing him talk and learning about everything he's done, I'm definitely going to be getting day one Fight Girl Fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we've told him, we've partnered with him on it, and we're like, hey man, look, every step of the way, Team Lift's with you. When you go Kickstarter, let us know. When the issues get ready to come out, let us know. We're going to do this. I don't care if we have to. If you're in Houston and you do a signing, we will be there for the signing. We're going to come in and do this with you. It's probably just been my honor to work with him and to get to meet him, and it was just total pleasure. And he was so humble. Like, he even talked about it on the show that he doesn't want to be called like a legend.
Right.
He said, because all the legends are dead, and he's still alive. He doesn't want to be called a legend. He said, I'm not a legend. I'm just a guy that got blessed to be able to do what he, loved. And I was like, bro, you're a freaking legend, but I understand where you're from, man. And he was so nice to me, man. And I think he knew I was geeking out. He knew I was geeking out. But he was so cool to me. So.
Yeah, if this was an anime, you would have had those big swirly glasses on.
Oh, bro, yeah, it was like it was straight up boy love. I was loved this man. I was like, this is the greatest man to ever live. I really had a fanboy moment there. It was so cool though, getting to meet him. We made another good friend there at the show, James Hurd. Mm-hmm. YouTuber, does a show called Pixelation on YouTube, and I think he is now he's starting to build up his subscriber base. He's got over 100 subscribers to the station. He does some big on anime, does a lot of JRPG gaming. He started seeing him do some visual novels that I played.
I forget what game it was, but he put out a video the other day about a game that just had a trailer put out for it, and a North American release was announced. And that was my phone.
Really?
Yeah, I will find it just real quick. But he was really cool, and I actually watched his little I guess selfie coverage video of the
I did too. Yeah,
and I saw both myself and my car in the video and commented on it, and he was cool enough to comment back within like an hour or two. Like, he's super in tune with his fan base, and he definitely wants to have his product grow, so I'll be supportive all the way.
Oh yeah, man, I followed him and he showed a lot of love. He actually, we were talking, because that's one of the cool things about going out and being on the press is we get to meet these people, and we created those connections with them. He actually we're talking about him coming to do a show with us.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
I want to be there for that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Xane and I'll bring you in. We could do an anime episode together. It would definitely be cool. He did a panel about the Monogatari series and all their openings. Really great panel. I did not know I was going to give as much feedback in that panel as I thought I would be giving.
I'm glad I didn't sit through the whole thing, because I'm still watching the series. But
you cut.
I also left though, so I could go get us some audio from another panel, which I think I got like almost an hour's worth of audio from. So
which one did you go do?
I don't remember if I named it or not, but I did record. Audio.
We really were all over. Like, there were some panels, Brandon, where we got there, and it was like, "Hey, are we recording this panel?" No, I'm here as a fan. There were some panels where we were not the press. We just used our press credentials to get into that panel so we could sit there as a fan. Tenny it was a mix. I wanted to interview him, but I also wanted to be in his panel. I don't regret. That was the one panel that I suggest to anybody. If you go to any cons in the state of Texas, I think he's going to El Paso He'll be at the El Paso Comic Con coming up this summer. If you get a chance to go into a con and Thomas Tenney is doing a panel, it will be one of the best things you ever hear in your life. It was the most motivational hour of any panel I've ever done. And I've gone to a lot, from the GameStop Managers Conference where we covered that to just being at EA and meeting those developers. I've never been to a panel that was like this. It was really motivational. So I'd suggest seeing him while you can, while he's out there. But man, awesome one. Awesome one. I did go do How to Write Romance.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
I did that one. I did go to How to Write Romance.
That one was pretty good.
How did I know?
Shut up. I went to that one.
That one's going to be helpful because aside from video games, I have like I have one idea for a visual novel series that I want to do.
Yep.
I won't divulge anything because I don't want ideas being taken.
Well, we talked about this because, I've been tapped. I have friends in the industry who are independent. And that's one of the things that you and I were sharing is that they've asked me to kind of to write a romantic comedy visual novel, kind of with an American slant on it. And as a comedian, I was like, well, I'm a comedian, but that doesn't mean I could write a romantic comedy. And it was really kind of neat and eye-opening for me to go in there and figure out how to write real characters because I feel like I could write real dialogue.
You can write real funny characters right now.
I could write it.
Before you attended that panel, it was just,
Yeah, no, I was like, I don't know how romantic this is going to be. It's maybe a tearjerker what I'm doing. But it was really cool to kind of go in there. And that was hosted by Jasmine Sky, who, I don't know if you watched her on YouTube.
I followed her.
She has a pretty big following, man.
Oh, yeah.
Damn near 1,500 people already are following this young lady. Mm-hmm. And she does cosplay. Mm-hmm. She's a small cosplayer, but she does all of her own stuff.
Yeah, she's a writer, and she didn't give us her pen name though. Like she did the whole panel, and she's like, I'm a writer, but I write under a pen name, and never divulge. So I'm gonna be exploring her a little bit just to see who in the world she is, and I'm probably not gonna read her stuff if it's yaoi.
I have some questions about this. There are some questions that I have about what she's writing because I don't think she could be writing fanfic, but at the same time, I feel like
I don't think she mentioned that she writes dojins, but she could.
She could be, and that's what kind of got me about her. It's like,
in fact, I have a little sister who's super into yaoi shit, so I might ask her if she recognizes the name or anything at some point. Maybe I'll hit you up with that info.
Hit me up, man. In fact, that's another thing we were going to talk about, too, because based on going to this, one of the things we talked about is that I don't really follow a lot of the gay literature and manga. I don't read yaoi. I don't read yuri. It's there, and I love romantic comedies. I'm a sucker for them. I just never read anything that was gay. And I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm cutting out a lot of great freaking, manga because I'm not. And it wasn't because I was like, it wasn't a thing where it's like, oh, I'm too macho to read it. I just never read it, never bought it, never cared to look at it. And then I decided after this conference, I bought two of them. I bought two Yuri manga, and I've read both right now. So we're going to be doing episodes about that, and we're going to be bringing on the goddamn Batman, who was on an earlier episode we did in the podcast last year. I gave her the books, and I said, I want you to read these, and then you're going to come on and we're going to break these down because I want to hear from a woman who lives in the gay communities. I want her opinion on it, and then we're going to give my opinion on it. Definitely some good books, man. If you can get a chance, the manga I read was My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. Probably one of the best manga I've read in the last 10 years. It's an autobiography. It is hard. It deals with her dealing with depression. She's 28. She's a virgin, and she learns at 28 that she's gone from being anorexic to being a binge eater to having severe depression to being a cutter, and then she figures that out at 28. I'm a lesbian. Probably super autobiographical, super enlightening, bittersweet, funny. It's life. Probably the realest thing I've ever read. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll probably give that a read at some point. I wanted to mention, too, since in a little bit we'll be talking about anime movies. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the top, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, the top fifth highest rated movie on my anime list is actually, it's called Kyusei. It's like classmates. It's actually a, I believe, slice of life anime about two guys who are really into each other, and it's rated number 90 overall in anime, but as far as movies goes, it's number 5 on my anime list. So
as a film, it rated.
Yeah, it came out last year too. Same year as Your Name and A Silent Voice. And surprisingly, just like A Silent Voice, they didn't do a ton of work to get it out there, but it definitely hit a lot of people and got a lot of critical acclaim and was kind of successful in Japan. I don't know if there's even plans for a dub yet. It's by A1, so it could be dubbed very easily. But I haven't heard anything about that. That's one that I could actually get behind just to watch, because, I mean, anything that's in the top 20 anime movies on my anime list are usually worth watching.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally 100% agree.
Granted, half of them are Miyazaki.
Yeah, no, that's when you start. I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because we're going to get into that. We're going to definitely talk about that here. Let's do this. We may have to do another show because we're going to have to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about this. Also, did you did the concerts, right? We had Galaxy Girl Paeta. Mm-hmm. We had, the Love Note Idols.
Oh, Love Note was good fun to watch.
They really were. Then I can't think of who else was there. She did a concert on Friday night.
It was like Yuki something?
Yeah, you went to that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched her. She was really good, really entertaining, and she's like originally from Japan, but she moved to the States, I think, in early 2010s, like 2012 or 13 or something like that.
Yeah, Chi Sakuraba?
Yes, Chi, not Yuki.
Chi Sakuraba. Yeah, Yuki was from Texasaki. Yes, man. And this woman had more. Brandon, I don't know if you've ever drank sake, but we had this Texas sake, does traditional Japanese sake brewing, Mm-hmm. They did one that was called Oak Junmai.
Oh, yeah, Oak Junmai.
And it tasted like the best freaking brandy whiskey I've ever had in my life. It was so buttery smooth and just, oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing. I got lit in that panel.
Yeah, and they also...
I think it sounds like everybody did.
That panel was lit.
That panel was packed too. Like,
Wasn't there an 18 and up panel, which just, that doesn't...
That was the only 21 and up panel.
It was the 21
and up panel.
I swear I remember you telling me it was an 18 and up panel. I was just like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I was drunk, so I probably thought everybody was 18. I was lit. I was at one point, I was smiling so hard that Reed asked me, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What's wrong?" He went, "You're smiling really hard right now." And I was like, "Is that bad?" Like, I was so happy. I don't know why. Then I realized, you haven't eaten breakfast and you drank enough sake to put out a small chow. Yeah, I was... Because Yuki was pouring them big hits on our side of the room.
Yuki was big.
By the way, goddamn it, I'd completely disconnected. I'd managed to stay quiet for multiple minutes. Why did you ruin it?
Yeah, bro. I needed to bring you back in because that sake was that damn good, bro. We were drunk.
So they do tours, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think he said?
Yes.
So, I mean, that might be something to do with Team Lift. Just go and take a sake tour.
I'm down for that, man. We may have to do that. In fact, Reed wants to go shoot a documentary there. He said that to us, and I was like, I don't think it would be hard because we got Trevor, who's their PR guy's information. So we could definitely reach out to him and be willing to do a Team Lift, thing there. We could do something. We could definitely set up that tour. Also, I like Galaxy Girl Paeta. Or Paeta.
Paeta.
Yeah, here's the thing. African-American woman.
Texas native.
Sang in freaking perfect Japanese.
Mm-hmm. She did a cover of the opening song from, why is it escaping me? Evangelion. She did the opening song for Evangelion and sung it on key, on point, and it, like, I wasn't in the room, but they had the doors open and I could hear it just because we were just standing just outside, and it was blowing me away. And then we went in there and she
got standing like ovations for those.
Yeah, she was fantastic, and I envy her knowledge of the Japanese language because I'm learning and I can't understand most of what she's saying. Because what she was doing, like in between songs, is she would say something in Japanese and then she would say the exact same line in English, and I was like, oh, that's what you said. Cool.
She really messed us up, and all I kept looking at was there's a black woman speaking perfect Japanese, dressed as a lolly maid, and she's singing anime songs to me.
You're in love.
I'm not going to say I was in love, but I would have carried the baby for her if she needed me to. I was like at the point, like, I'll carry the kid. You don't have to worry, lady. I got this one. You go do your career. And she wants to go to Japan to be an idol singer. And I was like, you talk about fascinating. My favorite thing was when Reed said, talk about cultural appropriation. There is a black woman singing anime songs to us, speaking perfect Japanese. Somewhere, there's a liberal whose head just exploded off their shoulders, and the conservative next to him also died. I said, yeah, possibly. It was shocking. And just the whole audience was so behind her. But man, when she would speak stuff in Japanese, I was just like mesmerized. And then she would talk to us. And like she put on a high energy show. Like she danced, she jumped, she kicked, bro, the only thing she didn't do was jump on a fucking broom and fly across the stage. Which if she'd have done it, I wouldn't have even been shocked at one point. I'd have been like, okay, I expected that. She's that magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good show. Out of everybody who I wanted to interview and we didn't get, she's my number one.
Unicorn among unicorns?
Oh my God. It'd have been 2 unicorns in that room. That was the closest you got to seeing 2 unicorns. Me and her on the stage in an interview would have been 2 unicorns. It would have been amazing. She was a phenomenal entertainer. I really wish we could have got her on the show. Love Note Idols, we did talk to those young ladies. They do Love Live Sunshine cover group.
Yeah,
They
apparently they every year. Well, I don't know if it's every year, but according to the show they did on Friday after the opening ceremony, this year they're focusing on one particular idol group that they're doing covers and everything for. And then last year, I think they said they did a different group. So I think it's like a yearly thing. Like every year, maybe they swap out what idol group they imitate and cover and stuff. And they do pretty well. I guess they don't technically cover, but they do all the dances and
they have the whole dance routine and lip synced it. And then I kept noticing at the parts where they would get like hi.
Oh, yeah.
And they would do those, and the crowd would get so into it. But they had the dances down like anybody that's watched those animes, you knew they got these dances down to a science, man. So they're really cool to watch. And if you love anything Love Live, the music's already phenomenal anyway. So
yeah, they did on Friday. They did music from Love Live, and they did music from I think the game's called like Aqua or something like that, but it's not spelled like Aqua.
No, that was like, the girls from Love Live Sunshine. That was the name of the idol band in that way. So yeah, it is AQUORS.
Yeah, that's one thing I haven't watched.
Yeah,
that's on my list.
If you watch Love Live Sunshine, every one of those songs did.
Does that one have Nico in it?
Yeah. Okay. No, Nico's season 1. Okay. Nico. Yeah. This
I know
one
her
here
from all the memes.
Dude, we have. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to just tell the story. Reed's going to hate me for this. Reed had that game on his phone and had to uninstall it because it started eating up so much of his life.
Oh.
Like he was playing that much, like unlocking everything in the game. So he was like, I got to get rid of this stupid game on my phone. It's terrible. But no, we had a blast, man. I think there were a lot of people I wish we could have got to speak to. There were still panels that we missed. A lot of the videos still going up on the channel. But like I said, we've talked to Eric Cherry. It's going to come do the show eventually with us. James Hurd from Pixelation. He's going to come on and do an episode with us. And I think that'll be great because, Team Lift, we are going to start doing some more anime-specific podcasts. So it'll be cool for you to come on and when we have those guys, and let's do those together. Yeah, man, I think that'll be awesome. We're going to get out of here, but I want you to come back for another episode. On that next episode, what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you a warning. We're going to talk about a movie. You mentioned it on my anime list. We're going to talk about what their number 1 film is and why it's shocking. You up for that?
I'm down.
All right, brother. That'd be perfect. All right, guys, man, this is your boy Roderick. Brandon was so quiet and so perfect over there in the corner. He was the greatest engineer ever. You know what this was like? This was like an episode of Frasier, and you were my Roz.
I have never seen that show, so.
You know, our friendship just took a hit. I just want you to know our friendship took a hit. It was like the greatest friendship ever told until you said that line.
I don't like Seinfeld either.
What? Brandon, look, I know you're a Satanist, but shut up. Guys, no, man. Please reach out to us as soon as you can, especially if you have questions about anime. Xane will be coming in and answering questions with us on these anime podcasts, and we'll always be trying to bring in guests. You can always reach out to us at the GoTeamLift@gmail.com if you have any of our anime questions. Also, hit up our YouTube page. As we said, we've now started releasing video, and it's our adventures at Anime Austin. And we're talking about doing Anime CTX. Are you on for that one?
Yeah, I'll be down. I like the con life.
Yeah, I'm all about the con life now. And now that we got a team that can go out to the cons, I think it's going to be cool to kind of get this video. And if you guys are going to join us, I can tell you right now, Anime CTX in August 4th, 5th, and 6th here in Austin. San Japan will be in San Antonio. That's in September. I want to say that's Memorial Day weekend, whatever that is. Is it Labor Day or Memorial Day? Which one is it in September?
Memorial Day just passed, isn't it?
So it's Labor Day that's in September.
Yeah.
So that weekend, Labor Day weekend, will be San Japan, and we're also going to be at that one too. So definitely, if you're at either one of those, that's on our schedule right now. Please come up to us and talk to Team Lift and get to see us face to face, and who knows, maybe you can end up on the show. So you guys have a wonderful night, man. It's been a pleasure. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page at GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages at Coach Silky and at Thighside. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.